Hello fight fans, welcome back to What Culture Combat. I am Gareth here, and what we're going to do today, I think it's quite apt, obviously after this incredible event that we've just had at UFC 246, to have a bit of a chat about what happens next. Where do we go from here? What fights are about to happen? What fights do I think should happen? And maybe some fights are a bit open-ended and I could use a bit of help from you guys back home just to see what you think should happen. All these opinions are obviously my own, so if you don't agree with them, that's fine. Let me know who you think should be fighting who. There's so many fighters in the UFC right now, come on. I'm only one man, I'm trying my best. So, my first fight I want to talk about, Diego Ferreira obviously beat Anthony Pettis against UFC 246. He didn't fight UFC 246 because that's a lot of people. He didn't take them all on in one night, then he would have got injured. But no, he fought Anthony Pettis and he won. He did very well in that fight. He completely in my view, he dominated him. I had Pettis to win, but we don't want to talk about that. Yeah, so where he goes from here now, he's just managed to kind of climb up just outside of that top 10 ranking. I think he's ranked 11 right now. Correct me if I'm wrong. So I think now the logical thing to do with Ferreira from here is give him a fighter in that top 10 rankings. Give him somebody that he can challenge himself with. Now he's on a 6-fight win streak. That win over Pettis, I'd say that's his most notable kind of scalp that he's had in recent times. So I think he's positioned himself in a lovely place now where he can start challenging athletes of a higher caliber. Who can you fight right now in that lightweight division? Whose schedule's open right now for that fight? Ferreira's apparently injured. He injured his knee in that fight with Pettis, so he's going to be on the sidelines for a little bit. So we're looking at maybe a few months of a gap there. So I know it's tough because Justin Gaethje hasn't fought in a while, so he's probably due a fight anyway, probably in the next couple of months. I'd like to see that fight. Obviously, people talk about Gaethje taking on McGregor at some point, or maybe Gaethje, Poirier. Gaethje's a hot prospect right now, and he needs to be fighting somebody who's got momentum behind him, just to kind of re-establish himself as a serious contender. All this talk's going on about McGregor, Khabib, Ferguson, we'll get there later. But I think he needs a fight right now against somebody who's worth fighting. Ferreira's probably one of the hottest prospects in that division. So I would book that fight going forward. I've had Diego Ferreira versus Justin Gaethje at an event this year at some point, hopefully. That'll be a good scalp for either of them. So that's my first one. Next one we're going to go into Alexey Oleinik. He obviously won his fight against Maurice Green. Again, I had Green in that fight, but we're just seeing here how bad I am at predictions and how unpredictable the UFC is, and that's why we love it. So in this kind of scenario now, Oleynik's come out of that fight. He's again got a bit of I think he's got a medical suspension for whatever reason. But he will be looking to fight at some point in the future, probably in the next couple of months. And apparently, just straight off the back of this event at UFC 246, there was a Twitter exchange. I don't know if it was an exchange, I think it was a bit one-sided, but Fabricio Verdum's coming off his USADA suspension. He had a 2-year suspension, he got brought down to 10 months recently. So I think he's cleared to fight in April. He came out and he called out Oleynik. He said, I fancy a shot at you. You're looking quite good right now. You'd be a nice little notch on my belt. I'd like a fight with you. I'd be here for that fight. Fabricio Verdum's obviously a former heavyweight champion. He's coming back off this lengthy suspension, and they're two pretty big names in the heavyweight division right now. They're not quite up at the level of like Miocic or Cormier or Ngannou, anyone like that. They're not quite there, but it'd still be a fun fight. It'd be an interesting fight. These kind of old war horses kind of going at it, and I think that fight makes logical sense. It's apparently being touted for UFC Moscow. Again, if Oleynik's he's gonna be the fan favorite over there. So it makes sense. It'd be a good clash, good return clash for Verdum. So I'm very much for that fight. I think that's the fight to make in the heavyweight division off the back of this card. Okay, now we're gonna go into Holm and Raquel Pennington. This is another tough one because it was probably the most boring fight on the card. Holm wins that fight. She won that fight. So I don't know what happens next for her. Does she get that title shot against Nunes and get battered again? Because I can't see her winning that fight, in all honesty. It'd be incredible if she did, but I can't see her doing that. Or does she take on Germaine de Randamie again? Because she's ranked above her, and that could be a nice kind of number one contendership fight. But again, I said this in a video the other day. I said that they are two probably of the least entertaining fights in UFC history that have already happened. She fought Raquel Pennington in the past and then fought her again. And she fought Germaine de Randamie in the past. That was awful, boring, and she's going to do it again. So all the options for Holm right now, unless she starts kind of leaning back into that entertaining, chaotic kind of striking style, if she starts doing that again, then yeah, cool. I'm all here for a Nunes fight. If she tries to knock her out and tries to take her head off, that'd be awesome. If she tries to just hug her and grapple her up against the fence again, it's going to really quickly end in her getting absolutely mauled. So Holm, I'm not sure. Raquel Pennington again. Anything can happen from there. So I think she needs a win over somebody in the top 10, very similar to probably the likes of Pettis, people like that coming off a loss out of this card. They need to re-establish themselves. They're going to keep getting decent fights and they're going to keep getting on the card because they're a name, but I'm going to leave that one up to you. I'm not sure who these kind of guys should be taking on next, but they need to be taking on somebody in that top ranking and getting a win over them. Okay, so probably the last two key fighters coming out of this card that we want to really have a chat about are the main event fighters, the people that you came to watch. Conor McGregor, Cowboy Cerrone. Where did they go after this card? That's the big one. That's the question everyone's asking. Everyone's asking where Conor goes. My question is, where does Cowboy go? He's on the back of a 3-fight losing streak. I'm not sure. We'll check me up on this, but I think this is the first time in his career that he's had a 3-fight losing streak. So where does he go? I mean, he could set up a fight. He could potentially even drop back down to lightweight and take on somebody like Diego Ferreira, or he could, in all honesty, take on Anthony Pettis. Somebody like that. I think Cerrone right now is not going to find many fights in that welterweight division that he can win anyway. I think he'd get absolutely mauled by Masvidal. I think he'd get battered by Usman. At this point anyway, at this stage, I don't think he's going to take on those top contenders. I think he'd be beaten by the likes of Wonderboy, really. I think he'd struggle. I think he'd really struggle. It'd be interesting seeing him take on somebody like that, or Nate or something. He's still got drawing power. This fight's done an awful lot for Cowboy. Obviously, he was a fan favourite, but now he's commercially very well known all around the world because of the exposure that comes when you fight against Conor. So I'm not sure. I think, personally, I wouldn't mind seeing him take on Pettis, maybe at lightweight, or taking on a Gaethje again, maybe. No, we've already seen that. So yeah, maybe not Gaethje, but maybe Diego Ferreira. That'd be another good scout for him if he took down Cerrone. But it's whether Cerrone wants to fight as well, like going out of this. He's not really got much else to prove. He's just got the biggest payday of his life. We'll see. That one's an open book, but yeah, a lot of different options for Cowboy. So let's talk about Conor. Conor's probably the big one in this. We want to see what's going to happen next for Conor McGregor, the most notorious man, pun intended, in all of UFC right now. He could jump into the boxing world. He said that. He said he wants to take on Floyd Mayweather in a rematch. He wants to take on Manny Pacquiao. But in terms of MMA, the real standout that most fans want to see is the Masvidal fight. And I can see why. That's the fight I want to see. Is the two biggest personalities probably in UFC right now, the hottest prospects going head to head. It'd be an epic clash at welterweight. And Dana even said, like, Conor, he takes it back. Conor looks good at welterweight. I think it'd be magic. It'd be absolute magic inside of the octagon. But after the fight that just took place at UFC 246, Dana came out and started flying that flag for Conor versus Khabib. He wants that fight now, which it's very assumptive. It's just assuming that Khabib's going to either walk over Tony or Tony's going to drop out the fight. Tony's a mean dude, right? So even if he does make it to the fight against Khabib, there's a very good chance he could win. Let's just keep that on the table for now, because Tony can still win this fight. And then what happens? Because I don't think that fight between Conor and Khabib is anywhere near as entertaining without that title. Not as many people are going to watch it. They're probably still going to watch it because it's Conor. But that title just adds that extra elegance, that extra kind of class to the entire thing. There's more stakes. Conor versus Tony. That's another fight I'd love to see. We've never seen it before. That would just draw up so many different possibilities. And then the Usman fight, the triple champ. Oh, they're all there for Conor. For me, I think the only option that seems viable at this point is none of those. Shock twist. I think it's going to be Nate versus Conor 3. I think that's the fight that makes sense right now. If Conor gets that decisive victory over there, he's won the rubber match, and then he puts himself in a position, because I don't think Khabib or Tony are going to drop out. You know what's going to happen now. In about 3 hours' time, Tony's going to drop out. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think that fight's going to go ahead, and so Conor's going to need something to do in that meantime. And I think a fight against Nate at welterweight keeps him in that nice weight. Doesn't mean he has to cut everything else. He gets that win over Nate, and I think he will beat Nate if that does happen. Then it sets up the Khabib fight further down the line. He's got Ramadan, so he's not going to be fighting after that Ferguson fight for a couple of months after that. So it'll be September, October. He'll be looking to fight again. Sets it up perfectly further down the line. So my prediction coming out of UFC 246, I believe that Conor is going to end up facing Nate in that the trilogy, the trifecta fight, the rubber match of that epic feud. Okay, and they are my predictions for what I think certain fighters coming out of this card are going to do from here on out, who they're going to fight next. But if you want to comment in the comment section below and let me know who you think the people on this card should be fighting next, where their stories, where their journeys are about to go from here on out, feel free to do so. I welcome it. I cannot wait to see what you guys think. I've been Gareth from What Culture Combat. Thank you very much for watching, and I'm sure I'm going to see you soon.